My name is Dominique Biscay and I'm here to talk to you about competitive cheerleading. Have you ever been flipping through channels on your television and landed on a cheerleading competition on ESPN? Some people would say that cheerleading isn't a sport, but I'm here to tell you why that's absolutely not the case. Being a competitive cheerleader my whole life, I know the hard work and dedication it takes to be a cheerleader. During my years of cheerleading, I've started off at competing at small localized competitions to competing at the highest level on national television, as well as coaching. Every cheerleader gets livid when they're told that cheerleading isn't a sport. The skills that these athletes need to possess at this level, not only do they have to be strong gymnasts, graceful acrobats, but also beautiful dancers. Many people look at cheerleading as an activity, but it's combined with three different sports. I will be discussing why cheerleading is not viewed as a sport and why it should be viewed as a sport. Friday Night Lights. It's football season and your team is down by 10 points. And who always keeps going and keeps the crowd happy? Cheerleaders. The definition of a sport is required to have some type of physical activity or skill that has to be learned or practiced. What most people see for sideline cheerleaders is all they do is yell and clap. They don't see the hard work that they do at practices. Many argue that cheerleaders don't have skill. All they do is yell and clap and that's it. Technically, yelling and clapping is a physical activity, but that's not all they do. During their practices, sideline cheerleaders practice on band dances, jump sequences, stunt sequences, and so much more. No one really gets to see the behind the scenes of sideline cheerleading. Sideline cheerleaders do a lot for the students, the faculty, their team, and also the community. Sideline cheerleaders are the ones who help put everything together for their school and community. You can thank the sideline cheerleaders for all the fun pep rallies that you get to go to during school. The cheerleaders put together the homecoming dances, the homecoming games, the parades, the pep rallies, the summer camps for the children, and the community service. Most people don't recognize that competitive cheerleading is a sport. Many may argue that routines don't use enough skill. A lot of people see cheerleading as a joke. All they see is competitive cheerleaders dressed up and they think that they prance around on stage like beauty queens, but that's not what competitive cheerleaders do. While I agree that sideline cheerleading is not as athletically demanding, competitive cheerleading is totally different. As a competitive cheerleader, you work on your skills up to 3 hours a day for at least 6 days a week. Competitive cheerleaders worry about the same injuries as any other athletes. According to the Women's Sports Foundation, a sport must include a physical activity of forcing an object through space or defying gravity. To cheerleaders, this defines stunting. Cheerleaders are required to keep someone in the air, throw someone in the air, or catch someone coming down from the air, or they're required to stay in the air. Competitive cheerleaders go through a daily struggle of trying to find the perfect group to successfully stunt. A sport requires being physically fit or physically active. Competitive cheerleading keeps you physically fit. Cheerleaders and coaches create a perfect routine that hits every single category on the score sheet, as well as impressing the judges. By people saying that cheerleading has no strategy, they're saying that competitive diving and gymnasts isn't a real sport. Competing against opponents is also required for a sport. Every cheerleader competes at competitions. Every team varies, however, most teams compete at 10 competitions a year. The competition season starts off relatively easy, so the teams can get their baseline scored for their routines. As the year progresses, the cheerleaders, their routines get harder as well as their competition. At the end of April, the biggest well-known cheerleading competition occurs in the wide world of sports in Orlando, Florida. When the winners are announced, this competition is aired on ESPN. Imagine your first time at a competition. You're super nervous, but super excited at the same time. As soon as you step on that stage, you hear the crowd yelling for your name or your team's name, and all the butterflies in your stomach go crazy. The lights turn on and the crowd goes silent. You take a deep breath, and finally the moment that you've worked so hard for begins. When that music turns on, all of the nerves go away. Ask any athlete if they've ever felt this, and I guarantee you, shy of some minor details, every athlete has felt this way. Cheerleaders get livid when they are told that cheerleading isn't a sport because they know this is a false statement, yet people still believe it. The people who don't believe that cheerleading is a sport are the ones who are unaware of the facts and statistics proving that cheerleading is most definitely a sport. As you can see, I've showed both sides as to why cheerleading isn't viewed as a sport and why cheerleading is also viewed as a sport. I also mentioned the facts about the subject and helped you visualize through a competitive cheerleader's perspective during a competition. Every athlete is the same. They all go through physical exertion and the competitive side. In every sport, athletes will experience nerves and excitement. If you don't think that cheerleading isn't a sport, I challenge you to come to the gym and practice with us. Thank you.